Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube. Hey guys, welcome back to Adri's Life. Don't forget to like, comment, and share, and subscribe. Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for all the love and support that I got on my last video. I really appreciate it. Today we're going to do a story time about my first date experience. So, my first date experience, it happened last year, actually. It happened last year on August 29th. It was the day after my birthday. So, yeah, and it was at U of A. I met a guy. He was really nice and sweet, so I thought. He was really nice and sweet. We talked a little bit and stuff like that. So, here's what happened. So, I just turned 18, and I had a friend at the time that we made a pact that, like, oh, when we both turn 18, we're gonna go on dating apps and see what's that's like. That was the first red flag. First fucking red flag. Then, so that happened. Where I think the app was, can I even say the app's name? I don't know, but it was Bumble. And what the? This is what happens when you freaking put lip gloss on. So, I'm just swiping. Every guy that I find attractive. Swiping. Then me and this guy match, right? We'll call him Blue Eyes, because he had blue eyes. Okay. So, me and Blue Eyes were talking, and it's like pretty early in the fucking morning. Like, it's probably like 8 or 9 in the morning. We're just talking, chit-chatting about life, experiences, why they're in Tucson, why am I in Tucson, what's my major, stuff like that, right? Everything's cool and dandy, right? And I told him, it was like, oh, it's my birthday. He was like, oh, happy birthday. And I was like, thank you, appreciate you. Then after that, he was just like, hey, do you want to hang out? And I was like, oh no, like, I just want to hang out with my friends today. Mind you, I didn't have no fucking friends. It was literally the first week of school. So, yeah. So I just wanted to chill in my dorm. Literally, the only thing I did on my birthday was go to CVS. That's all that I did. Anyway, so then I was like, we can like hang out tomorrow, which was the 29th. And then he was just like, yeah, for sure, just let me know when and where. And I was just like, I don't know any places, because he was also new to Tucson. And then everything was cool and dandy, right? And I was just like, okay, it's cool, right? The day comes. The day comes, and I want to flake. I literally want to flake. I want to cat off of him. Like, I just don't want to go. I don't want to go. I'm just like, because when it comes to relationships and, like, especially talking to boys, I was nervous. Like, I was just like, I don't know how I feel about this one. Like, I met him online. It's like, it was just so many red flags. It just wasn't hitting, right? So my roommate, she convinced me. She was like, Adriana, just do it. Like, just do it. Like, what's the worst thing that can happen, right? So then she comes with me. And she's make sure that, like, I won't get kidnapped or anything. Thank God. Love my roommate for that. And then, so we meet up at this coffee shop. It's literally, if you go to U of A, or you plan on going to U of A, there's a coffee shop next to Panera. Okay? That's where we were. Okay, that's where we were. And I'm just waiting on my phone. I text my friend at the time that I had about, like, I'm nervous, I don't want to do this, like, it's just a bad idea, blah, 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 blah. He comes up to me, because mind you, I'm on the phone. Like, I'm on the phone. Like, everything is just, like, I wasn't paying attention to my surroundings at this point. So, he walks in, he was like, hey, like, I'm Blue Eyes, nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, nice to meet you, da-da-da-da. It's going well, so I thought. So, we're going up, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, like, do you want to go get something to drink? And he was just like, yeah, sure. And he was like, oh, I have to go to the bathroom. I was like, okay, cool. So my friend, my roommate, was outside or whatever, and she wanted to see, like, if I was doing okay or whatever. I was doing fine, I guess. And then he comes back, and then I just get water, because we went to a coffee shop, and we got water. Mind you, we met at like 2 p.m. So many red flags. Anyway, so then after that, he comes back, we're talking, chit-chatting, right? And for some reason, he's always, when we walked in the coffee shop and we walked out, he was always behind me. I don't know why. It's just like he always walked like a foot away from me, and it was weird, right? So I asked him, I was like, why do you keep walking behind me? And he was just like, oh, like, no reason. And I was just like, no, for real, come on, like, what's the reason of you keep walking behind me? Not in a like mean or bougie way, just wanted to know, because that's weird, right? I thought it was weird. Tell me down below if y'all think it's weird too. Anyway, so then he was just like, oh, nothing. And then I was just like, oh, okay, cool. So we're sitting down just talking, and I was just like, what was your first impression of me? I feel like it's a really good question to ask. And then he was just like, oh, like, you're nice, sweet girl. Anyway, so, and he was just like, yeah, nice, sweet girl, da da da. He was like, oh, you have a nice figure. And I was like, oh, thank you, right? And then he goes into detail about what he likes about me and my figure. He goes
like, oh, you have really nice breasts.
I literally was just like, oh, okay. And I feel like he could tell that, like, it wasn't adding up in his head. Like, it was not adding up. Like, he was just like, oh, I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable or anything. I'm just like, yeah, no, like, you're totally fine. Like, I take it as a compliment. I was like, yeah, I don't do anything for my figure. Like, I don't do anything. All I eat is junk food. Which is still a true statement. And then we're just talking, this homeless man comes up to us. And he's like, oh my god, you're so pretty. How do you get your hair like that? Because I had tangles in my hair at the time. And then I was like, oh, just, yeah. And then he was just like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, cool. And then he goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on about this homeless guy. Mind you, it's still the homeless guy. We're still in the homeless guy here. The homeless guy goes on and on and on about his life and like how he used to have long hair and how he had to cut it all off for some reason. Really don't remember why he had to cut it off. He had to cut off his hair and da-da-da. And Blue Eyes interrupts him and is like, oh, I also had really long hair. And I was like, oh, why did you cut it off? He was like, oh, I'm in the military. I was like, oh, okay. And then he was like, yeah, I just got stationed in Tucson. I was like, that's wonderful. Oh my god, that's so cool. And then the homeless guy goes, oh, thank you for serving our country. Like, we really support it. Like, I support you in your decision. And blah, 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 blah. Right? So then I started asking questions about the military, because I don't know shit about the military. And then he talks to me about, like, all the stuff he has to do. And then he talks about his dog tags and, like, all the stuff that was not interesting whatsoever. And he was like, why are you asking me all these questions? Do you want to join the military or something? And I was like, no. No, I do not. So then, the homeless guy is still there. He's still there, going on and on and on. And then the homeless guy tries to give me a hug. And I was like, what are you doing? And then he was just like, oh, I'm sorry, I apologize, it's COVID, da-da-da. When I was just like, yeah, it's COVID, like, people are out, like, you know, we're just trying to talk, you know, that's it. And then the homeless guy tries to reach to hug me again. And I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then he goes, I was like, I'm so sorry. And I was just like, oh, to Blue Eyes, I was like, do you want to get up and, like, leave? Like, do you want to go somewhere else or something? The homeless guy got the hint. He walked away. And then me and Blue Eyes still went somewhere else because that was a weird interaction. And then he was just like, oh, the homeless guy was right. And I was like, the homeless guy was right about what exactly? And then he was like, oh, like, I really like your hair too. And I was just like, oh, thank you. And then he was like, can I touch your hair? And then just starts petting me. He starts to pet me. So many red flags. Anyway, was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, because you're already fucking doing it. Anyway, so then that happened. We're just talking, and then we start talking about just life and why I go to U of A. And I was just telling him that I like the school. He was like, yeah, I was thinking about coming here too, since, you know. And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like, totally, it's a really nice school. I don't know much about it since, like, my personal experience, because I've only been here for literally a fucking week. And then he was just like, yeah. And then he started making jokes, and we're laughing, kikiing, and it was fun. It was fun while I was lasting. So I was like, oh, like, those are his only two strikes, right? Talking about my figure and touching my hair without really asking for permission. So many red flags. Anyway, so then me and Blue Eyes talked, chit-chatting, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, asked him another question. I was like, oh, have you ever talked or like dated a black girl before? And he was like, oh, no, like, no. And I was like, oh, like, have you only dated white people? Because he was white. And then he was just like, oh, no. He was like, I've never dated a white person. I was just like, oh, okay. He was just like, yeah, white people are weird, like, I just don't like them, like, it's not for me. He was just, and then he goes into depth about why he doesn't like or had past relationships with every single race he has dated. So he was just like, word for it, he was like, yeah, I don't like Mexicans because they're crazy. So many red flags. Anyway, like, they're like, he was like, oh, Mexicans are too loud, they're too stalkerish, and he said that they're too crazy. So many red flags. Anyway, and then he goes on to why he doesn't date white women. He was just like, oh, yeah, because I don't date white women because every white woman I've been with, they have smelled weird. So many red flags. Anyway, I was like, oh, okay. And then he goes into depth about the past relationships he's had and like the hookups that he has. He was just like, yeah, like, I don't get around as much as I used to. And I was just like, oh, okay. Didn't want to know that, because I just didn't want to know, nor did I care about his past relationships. But then he goes in depth, He was like, oh, like, what about, you know, I was like, I've never been in a real relationship, so really can't answer those questions for you. Sorry. And then I asked him, oh, like, since you've never been with a black girl before, why did you choose to talk to me at all, people? And then he goes to say, and then he lets his mouth, let his lips form.
Oh. Yeah, no, I never dated a black girl, but I've heard good things. Like, I heard that black women take care of white men really well.
So many red flags. Anyway, I was too stunned to speak. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. I was like, sure. And I was like, I'm not a car, you know. Like, you know that, like, I'm not a car. And then he laughed because he thought it was funny. And I was like, I'm serious. Then after that, I lied and said that I had a paper to do for my psych class at that time. And then he walked into my dorm. He hugged me, and then I blocked him. That was my first date experience. We love it here. But if you guys liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to like, comment, and share, and subscribe. It doesn't cost you a thing, and you'll get to see me more. And who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want that? Anyway, so I'll see you guys next time in my next video. Bye.
Open your heart.